WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's 1 o'clock in Cotonou and midday here in Dakar. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and worldwide on WADR.org. Welcome to Newslink, and here are the top stories. ECOWAS chairperson Tinubu to arrive in Dakar for a one-day visit. Agency for Air Navigation Safety in Africa and Madagascar SENA announces the closure of Niger's airspace to commercial flights either originating from or destined for Nigeria. Military wives protest put a hold on Armed Forces Day celebration in Liberia.
We need to give them a chance to be able to speak and be able to address their issue. So for them to reach the stage they have reached, it means they have been engaging strict actors and nothing have happened. So they thought that's the way to go. But in my mind, they should be able to give the president the benefit of the doubt.
And Cote d'Ivoire crown AFCON champions as Holla seals fairy tale comeback.
Adingra to attack Aina again. Adingra, can he cross? It's a great ball. It's a goal. Gets the cross in. Hala got a little foot ahead of Newslink. That is a fabulous goal. There it is. It's all over. Cote d'Ivoire are the African champions. What a fairy tale story here.
Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Imo Edit with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining us and a warm welcome to our listeners in the Gambia, Ghana and Liberia. Well, let's begin with the report that the chairperson of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and President of Nigeria, Bola Tinubu, is expected in Senegal today to discuss the current political crisis. The security climate in the capital Dakar and other regions of the country, particularly the south and north, remain tense. President Tinubu is only visiting for one day to meet with President Macky Sall. Recall ECOWAS last week in a press release called on Senegal to urgently restore the electoral calendar, a statement several political analysts described as ambiguous. Meanwhile, 3 people were reported dead amid protests over the postponement of Senegal's presidential election. According to medical sources, the victims included 19-year-old high school student, 23-year-old shopkeeper, Modou Gaye, and a university student. Violent protests erupted across the country last Friday, led by opposition political parties and some civil society groups opposed to the election delay. Augustine Coley completes the story.
The victims include a high school student, a shopkeeper, and a university student. 2 were reported dead on Friday, while a young man also fell to the cold hands of death in an intensive care unit during protests in the southern city of Ziguinchor on Saturday evening, thus increasing the death toll to 3. Senegal's Interior Minister Sidiki Kaba has denied media reports that security forces were responsible for the death. The European Union on Sunday called on the Senegalese authorities to guarantee fundamental freedoms amid protests. Recall, on February 3, 2024, Senegal's President Macky Sall announced the postponement of the presidential election, citing a dispute over candidate listing and alleged corruption of constitutional judges. The postponement bill, backed by Parliament, included the extension of his tenure until his successor is installed after election on December 15. However, opposition lawmakers and presidential candidates who reject the postponement fight legal challenges and said they will refuse to recognize Sall as president after his original mandate expires in early April.
Augustine Coley further report. Meanwhile, WAF television, whose signal was revoked by the Senegalese state regulators, was restored Sunday night at 8 p.m. According to the Minister of Communication, the restoration follows regrets expressed by the CEO of the Wafjiri Sheikh Nias Group during an audience with President Macky Sall to personalities of the civil society accompanied by the staff of the group. The ministry's press release states, and I quote, that the head of state has, in his usual leniency, decided to have this sanction revoked. End of quote. Now let's bring you some matters in Niger. The Agency for Air Navigation Safety in Africa and Madagascar, Nasena, has announced the closure of Niger's airspace to commercial flights either originating from or destined for Nigeria. This decision comes against the backdrop of complex diplomatic relations in the West African region, particularly with the withdrawal of Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, at the end of January. The move is a response to the ECOWAS sanctions imposed on Niger following the coup d'etat on July 26. Abdullah Hassan completes the story.
The airspace closure, as disclosed in an official note from Asena, specifies that while the Republic of Niger's airspace remains open for all international and domestic commercial flights, exceptions are made for flights departing from or arriving in Nigeria. Notably, flights merely transiting Nigerian airspace without landing are not affected by these restrictions. This decision adds a layer to the ongoing diplomatic tensions between Nigeria and recently departed ECOWAS member states. According to reports from Nigerian media, the closure of Niger's airspace to flights to and from Nigeria is a reciprocal measure in response to Nigeria's earlier prohibition of its airspace for flights connected to Niger. It is important to note that Niger had already taken steps to close its airspace to all operational military flights and other special flights following the coup on July 26. The restrictions stipulate that such flights are only permitted with prior authorization from competent authorities as outlined by Asena since August 6.
Abdullah Hassan reporting there. In Mali, imports of certain food products from Côte d'Ivoire have been put on hold for almost a month. The suspension by the Ivorian authorities is suspended for 6 months. Sources say trucks carrying these banned products are blocked at the border between the two countries. However, some traders managed to cross illegally to supply the Malian market. As you will hear in this report by our Bamako correspondent, Salyu Cham, and voiced by Ugebiarika, the situation is there for plantain retailers in the country.
The Bamako market, where food products such as plantains, avocados and yams from Côte d'Ivoire are sold, is less stocked than usual. This is because several food products are no longer arriving from Côte d'Ivoire. The recent development follows the Ivorian authorities' decision to suspend exports for 6 months. Like other traders, Suleiman Jakite, a plantain seller, expressed concern over the situation. He says the consequences of the decision have taken a severe toll on his business. Another vendor, Kadiatu Jakite, laments the surge in the prices of food commodities, especially plantain. Since the decision was taken on January 15, trucks bound for Mali have been blocked at the border between Bamako and Côte d'Ivoire. So far, there has been no reaction from the Malian government since the announcement was made. When contacted, the General Directorate of Commerce and Consumption declined to comment on the situation.
Ugebiarika filed that report.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Let's cross over now to Liberia, where President Joseph Boakai today cancelled the official program marking the celebration of the country's Armed Forces Day due to mass protests by wives of the army personnel. February 11 each year is celebrated as Armed Forces Day in Liberia, but because the day was on a Sunday, the official celebration was pushed to today, Monday. WADR's Monrovia correspondent Darlington Pope has been following the issues and now reports.
For the past few days, the wives of the army personnel have been protesting the nomination of former Chief of Staff Major General Prince Charles Johnson III as Minister of National Defense, as well as calling on the government to improve living conditions at the barracks across the country. Within a few hours to the official celebration, Presidential Press Secretary Kula Fofana announced that the president had cancelled the official program to enable him to meet with the protesting women.
Yesterday there was a meeting convened with the leadership and the leadership of the army as well, and the directive is that the extravagant program that normally takes place on Armed Forces Day at the BTC will not happen this morning, and that the president is leading a delegation to be able to have a discussion with the women as well as their husbands.
Meanwhile, this pronouncement has been met with serious criticisms, especially from these Liberians who trooped in as early as 6 a.m. to witness the official ceremony at the Barclay Training Center in central Monrovia.
My name is Maurice Woods. We are the first of a kind that our armed forces did, which shall be called off in a well like this. So we are very disappointed this morning. We're holding responsible to investigate the case, what led to the protestation against the men.
I'm Conference G Tape. I'm feeling bad about Liberia.
Today's supposed to be Armed Forces Day, and you are here to see the people.
To see the people. Then we can see the people.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling bad about Liberia.
So who do you hold responsible?
I hold the Senate responsible. They want to confront the man.
The cancellation was done without any prior notice to several joint security apparatus, such as the Liberian National Police, the Liberia Immigration Service, as well as the Liberian National Fire Service, among others. Meanwhile, Grand Jide County Representative Jacob Debbie is calling on the president to address the issues raised by the protesting AFL's women with utmost urgency.
We need to give them a chance to be able to speak and be able to address their issue. So for them to reach the stage they have reached, it means they have been engaging strict actors and nothing have happened. So they thought that's the way to go. But in my mind, they should be able to give the president the benefit of the doubt. He is a father. He is a father, and a father always wants the best for his children.
For now, the women have set up roadblocks to all entrances leading to the capital, Monrovia, and parts of the country, demanding the government to act urgently. For Newslink on West Africa Democrats Radio, I'm Darlington Popa in Monrovia.
The United States authorities have reported that witness accounts suggest the helicopter crash near the Nevada border in California on Friday, claiming the lives of Access Holdings PLC's Group Chief Executive Officer Herbert Wigwe, his wife, son, and former group chairman of the Nigerian Exchange Group, Abimbola Ogunbanjo, occurred during rainy conditions. The tragic incident has prompted tributes from prominent Nigerians, including former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, Gozokunji-Wela, Femi Otedola, ministers, governors, and others. Michael Graham, a representative of the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, addressed the press on Sunday.
On behalf of the NTSB, I'd like to express our deepest sympathies to the families and loved ones of those who lost their lives in this terrible tragedy. We are on scene now to gather perishable evidence. Our team is methodically and systematically reviews all evidence and considers all potential factors to determine the probable cause. This is the beginning of a long process. We will not jump to any conclusions, and the information that I provide for you tonight is preliminary. Witness reports of the weather conditions at the time of the accident suggest rain and a wintry mix. The helicopter was not equipped with a cockpit voice recorder or a flight data recorder. This helicopter was not required to be equipped with those type of recording devices. We are aware of media reports of some downed power lines near the accident site. We will be looking into this report during our on-scene investigative phase of this investigation. The NTSB investigator in charge, as I said, is Aaron Sauer. He will be joined by Mark Ward as the deputy investigator in charge. Several other NTS investigators are on scene and will be examining the following areas: airworthiness, to include maintenance and structures of the helicopter, operations, meteorology, and air traffic control. Parties to the investigation include the FAA and Orbic Air LLC. As the investigation continues, other parties could be named.
That was Michael Graham, a representative of the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, in the United States. In the meantime, a patrol team of the Nigerian Navy has arrested a vessel in Lagos, the commercial capital, suspected to be carrying stolen crude oil. The vessel, flagged St. Vincent and Grenadines, had 11 crew on board at the time of arrest. Mustafa Hassan is a flag officer commanding Western Naval Command.
We are here on board Seisnil 2, a vessel suspected of being involved in crude oil theft. we arrived at this allegation because she's been sailing through oil fields with her automatic identification system switched off. Yes, she has naval approval to pick sludge from Port Harcourt, crude oil sludge, but her suspicious movement and turning off her identification system, which is supposed to be on at all times, so we know where she is and what she is doing, is making us suspicious of her intentions. She left Port Harcourt about some days back, and so Commodore Guntuga today was ordered and it dispatched NNS Sokoto to about 199 nautical miles south of Nigeria. That's almost a mile outside our exclusive economic zone where the arrest was made. We've taken samples and sent to the relevant authorities for confirmation of what she's carrying.
Mustafa Hassan is the flag officer commanding Western Naval Command. You're listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar and worldwide on WADR.org. Here is a reminder of our top stories. ECOWAS chairperson Tinubu to arrive in Dakar for a one-day visit. Agency for Air Navigation Safety in Africa and Madagascar, ASENA, announces the closure of Niger's airspace to commercial flights either originating from or destined for Nigeria. Military-wise protests put on hold Armed Forces Day celebration in Liberia. And still ahead in sport, Cote d'Ivoire crown African champions as well as Seal's fairy tale comeback. We do have a guest interview segment and the newspaper review. Please stay with us.
You are listening to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal.
Don't forget, we are streaming live on WADR.org, YouTube and Facebook. The Swiss ambassador to Ghana, Simone Giga, has called on Ghanaian women to actively champion the cause of gender equality. Recognizing the courage and resilience displayed by Ghanaian women across various sectors of the economy, she emphasized the need for deliberate effort to address gender disparities in society. WDZ's Accra correspondent Nadine Tete reports.
During the launch of the second edition of Nana Barnabas Women of Valor in Accra, an initiative aimed at recognizing and highlighting women with unique stories of courage, Ambassador Simone Giga reflected on her own experiences in Switzerland, acknowledging the privileges she had as a woman born into a middle-class family in a prosperous country.
I have been born into a middle-class family in one of the richest countries in the world. And even if Switzerland hasn't been a beacon of women empowerment and gender equality for most of its history, I have never faced insurmountable obstacles because I'm a woman.
She contrasted this with the challenges faced by many Ghanaian women who, she noted, exhibit immense courage to assert their positions in family, society, politics, and the economy.
I found bravery in market women from across the country who often serve as the breadwinners for their families. I found bravery in female journalists, media personalities, and influencers who are exposed to cyberbullying and misogynistic verbal attacks.
Simone Giga stressed the importance of women working collaboratively to achieve widespread gender equality.
In my humble opinion, what Ghana needs for the advancement of greater equality on a large scale is women working together, forging alliances, and being deliberate about it.
Applauding the organizers of Women of Valor for creating a deliberate platform for women to inspire and support each other, Simone Giga emphasized the significance of such networks in driving positive change. She highlighted the historical impact of bottom-up social movements by women, underlining the importance of influential women joining forces with supportive men. For WADR, Nadine Tete, Accra.
This is the newspaper review. Stay on top of the news. Get the most important stories with added insight and concise review.
This is the newspaper review.
Well, we cross over now to Abuja as we join Usman Omar for the newspaper review.
Hello and welcome to the press review segment. Let's start with the Guardian newspaper. Exiting oil firms pollute Niger Delta with 36.1 million liters of crude in 8 years. World Health Organization